and welcome back to Breaking Down Better Call Saul. This is a series that has been comprised of like hour-long reviews of whole seasons and live reactions here and there, episodic reviews. This is going to be a more brisk, hopefully, and quick video where I'm just going to talk about what I would like to see in the ending of this show. Now, I'm filming this at the time before the release of the final 3 episodes, so my feelings may change, in which case maybe a follow-up video, but for now, I want to talk about what I think might happen at the end of the show, and just talk about some theories about what might happen at the very end of this show. The one that has intrigued me the most, because it was based on how Jimmy had realized that someone recognized him as Gene in the future Breaking Bad timeline. Although, from what I've heard, it's not quite a future. Well, it is just slightly post Breaking Bad by a few weeks. But anyway, when he calls up the vacuum cleaner guy, Robert Forster, and he's like, I need another. You need to switch me again. And then he just thinks about it. And he goes, actually, no, I changed my mind. I'm gonna handle this. And there was a theory that he actually would turn himself in. And that apparently, I can't remember this, apparently he had said to Walter in Breaking Bad, like, maybe you should just turn yourself in. But the idea that Jimmy would kind of say, okay, I'm Jimmy McGill, I'm Saul Goodman, go to the police, turn himself in, go to jail, but give the police, and maybe even the DEA, all his information on Heisenberg, and doing the right thing, and kind of bringing closure to some people, perhaps. And then maybe getting a reduced sentence because of the cooperation and the information. And then maybe we get like an episode of like Jimmy in prison, like kind of, wheeling and dealing and kind of, going into the prison library and helping out people with their legal problems and stuff. And then he does his time, and years down the line, he gets released from prison. And this was my thought. He gets released from prison, he goes out and waiting for him outside the building, one leg on the wall, it's Kim there with a cigarette, and he sees her, she sees him, they don't say anything, and they walk off together, future uncertain. I think that would be a good ending, Maybe they get on a bus, it's like the ending of The Graduate, It's just like, oh yeah, this is great, or is it? That might be a bit, well, not cruel, but I think cruel would be leaving Jimmy completely alone. Or just, I don't know, dying. I don't know, there's so many ways they could go with it, but Kim has to play into it. People are saying after Fun and Games, I can't believe that's it for Kim. Like, come on, guys. The whole story is about Jimmy and Kim, or has become that, since the first season, I think. And at this point in time, she's pivotal, like she has to come back. And in what way, I don't know. But I feel like it's not going to be in a hugely dramatic way. And I feel like the only way they're going to maybe get together again or reunite in a significant way is if Jimmy changes. Like I was saying in my review of Nippy, where he kind of puts the shirt down and walks away symbolically from Saul Goodman and from that life, perhaps, and maybe that's his final scam. But how he kind of finds Kim and convinces her that he's done with that, I don't know. I don't know if it's possible to do that. It's just, that's the thing, it's so intriguing. What do I think will happen? I don't know, but I have a feeling that the only way you can end this show is with Jimmy and Kim in some way, shape, or form. And I feel like it might even be a case of where they see each other and maybe the final episode is them reuniting, and then they kind of, they have a day together and it's like old times, and they even maybe, it's like, oh, we could scam that guy. And they go, well, let's not do that, let's be more adult or whatever. And maybe at the end of it, Jimmy's like, see, like, we didn't need to scam anyone, and when we still had a good time, maybe this can still work, and then maybe she can say that, we'd slip back into it, and maybe he can say, you know what, you're right, and then they just like amicably, and tenderly kind of, bid farewell, and it's just a kind of a bittersweet kind of, like the Dark Knight Rises ending, like, you wouldn't say a word to me, I wouldn't say a word to you, but we both know that we made it, just a nod. And the acknowledgement, maybe something like that. That would be sweet, I do think that if you just put them back together again, and then it's all happily ever after, I don't think that's true to them, really. But I do think that, well, they have to meet again, for sure. But now that I just said that, I feel like that's probably what's going to happen. Like, it feels like the right way to end it. it feels true to the characters and true to closure for both of them. Because if they get together again, it's not really closure. It's the potential for more mayhem, I think. But you know, if he's changed really, who knows? It may be possible, but I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. But I think something like that might happen. What would I want to happen? Again, probably the jail thing. I think that if he really serves his time in prison and kind of gives information on Heisenberg and maybe even gives information on Howard's death and says that actually he was killed by a cartel member, Lalo Salamanca, and we covered it up, you know, and maybe he does actually, I don't know, like if he like atones for his sins fully, I think he'd do right by himself for doing the right thing. I think he'd do right by Kim for doing the right thing, although maybe he'd probably implicate Kim if he said that me and Kim covered up Lalo, you know, I covered up Howard's death or whatever, but maybe not that, but yeah, I think that there's ways to do it where he kind of atones for his sins in prison. He's done right by Kim, by himself, but also by Chuck, you know, and you know that if Chuck was there to see Jimmy, and Jimmy's like, what do I do? He's like, you have to turn yourself in. You have to, you know, kneel down in front of the law, you know, and surrender yourself to it. And if he does his time and then he, you know, stamps out, then he might be a completely changed man. But then, you know, I feel like they might end it on a cheeky note where he pulls another scam, or like he looks at something and he's like, well, you know, maybe I could do something here. And, you know, maybe it's okay that, it's that whole line where Chuck is like, you know, people don't change. I know what you were, what you are. You're slipping Jimmy. But I feel like it would be really satisfying if he proved his brother wrong, and that he doesn't always have to be that, and that there's so much more to Jimmy deep down than just this guy who scams people. And it's almost like we talk about how like Saul Goodman's the mask for Jimmy, that he masks the pain and kind of becomes a caricature, if you will. But I feel like even Jimmy McGill, or Slippin' Jimmy, if you like, is kind of a mask to, you know, the problems that he's had, the fact that, you know, the problems with his father kind of in the business going awry, and Jimmy kind of, you know, having a hand in that, and his brother kind of looking down on him and not respecting him, and, you know, he's gone through a lot of stuff, and I think he's always compartmentalizing that. And so in a way, I think a lot of the Slippin' Jimmy stuff, the scamming, the scheming, is also his way of avoiding things, and Saul Goodman just became the ultimate way of avoiding things. So, I don't know, maybe we see a different version of this guy where he's able to let go of all of his emotional baggage, perhaps, and maybe even verbally kind of talk through it, you know, with Kim or with someone else, and say like, yeah, my brother died, I feel responsible, and I loved him, and I don't feel it. And one thing I'd love to see in these final 3 episodes is maybe an appearance by Chuck. Even though I love the last flashback we saw of him, the winner episode, Winner Takes It All, I love that scene so much. It was nice to see the last thing of Chuck in a nicer moment with Jimmy, but it'd be cool to see him pop up again, I suppose. But yeah, Endgame, like, you know, ended the series. I think it's got to end with Jimmy and Kim in some way, but they always surprise us, you know, and I would never have guessed how they ended Breaking Bad, although I kind of would have assumed that Walt would die and Jesse would live. But how the machinations of that, no idea whatsoever, you know, so that's kind of how I feel about this. I feel like it's going to end with Jimmy and Kim, whether they get together or they reunite before the very end of the show, and then they go their separate ways. But the machinations, how we get there. How do we get to them reuniting? How do we get to how we leave them in their relationship? I don't know, but what else really is there to move towards in the end of this show? Mike's story is done, really, and we know how that continues. Gus's story is done. We know how that continues. You know, Chuck's gone, Howard's gone, Lalo's gone. It's really only about Jimmy now. Obviously, we're going to get Walt and Jesse, but I don't think that's going to be a huge part of the story or reveal something game-changing. So I think we're just going to enjoy 3 more episodes with these characters and move towards the coda of the entire story, and I think it has to really be centered almost entirely around Jimmy and Kim. And when Carol Burnett was announced, I thought maybe she was going to play Kim's mum, and that was going to play a huge part, but probably not. You know, so I think that that's where it's going. I just don't know where, and I like that. But leave your thoughts down below. I'd like to hear theories and thoughts, and even if it is something like, oh, that probably might be it. I wish I hadn't read that, but I'm kind of intrigued to see. And there's so many theories out there that I've read a lot of them. I've thought about a lot of them, and it's just fun to speculate in these last moments before the very very end. So, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Leave your thoughts down below, and I'll see you in the next one.